Hello, good morning. Welcome to Middle Earth Readings. Today it is Monday the 27th of June. My name is Maggie Rose Cunningham. I am the founder of Maggie and Rose and the creatrix of the Hearth Space, which is where Middle Earth Readings is hosted. So hello to all of you who are joining me live today. So as normal, if you're joining me live within the group, please do share your rune for the week, the rune that you have drawn for yourself for the week, and we will have a little look at how your runes, what they tell us about the week ahead and how you can maximize your energies and fulfill your heroic destiny in style. So alongside our personal destinies, our weird weaving of our personal weird, we are also able to read the collective flow of weird, how that is working at the macro level, sort of universal level, and we can do that through looking at the movements of the planets through the wheel of the year, through the runic wheel, which is what we're going to be doing. Hello Erica, please do, anyone who's there, please do say hello. Lovely to see you all. I can see Erica has shared her rune of the week already, which is great. So I'll come back to the collection before after I've done the planetary movements for the week. So we've got a bumper collection of movements all happening on the 29th. We've got a couple of days where, we're still in the energy. I'm enjoying the ending of the half month of Dargaz at the moment. So it's the last rune in the Elder Futhark. Sometimes Dargaz and Athala are switched in some of the archaeological finds. More commonly, it's Dargaz, but Athala can be there at times. I always use Dargaz when we're looking at these, at the movements of the Wheel of the Year, because it works so much better with like Dargaz at the summer solstice, so we always work with it that way. Sometimes people ask, well, why did they swap? And obviously we don't know why those always swapped. Maybe it was just that people got them the wrong way round. There are other runes that occasionally swap too. I actually I find that where it really comes into its own, the Dargaz and Athala swapping, is when you create circles. You can create sacred space using your runes, and I often call on Athala when we want to ground the energy of the runes. So Athala is the rune of estate and inheritance. So it's very earthy, grounded, ancestral energy. Dargaz is a rune of doorways and gateways and openings, so it's brilliant for opening a space, brilliant for stepping through into something new. So you can use them in different ways for that. So I thought you'd like to know that in case you're wondering, why is sometimes those interchangeable? We do not know why, but historically they were occasionally interchangeable, and my personal experience is that they work in slightly different ways, so sometimes the Athala can be good. Here is the Dargaz rune, by the way, in case you were wondering about the Dargaz rune. But we have got 3 planetary movements then all happening on Wednesday. We have the Sun, Suna's chariot, moving into Feyu, right back at the beginning of the rune row, this real primal energy of life force itself. The great primal cow, Old Humla, who nurtures all beings, the flow of blood itself, the sap within the trees and the plants. All of these things are sacred to Feyu. The magical force is also found within Feyu, and wealth is associated with Feyu. It's actually a later association that comes with the later Futharks, the Norse and the Icelandic and the Anglo-Saxon, whereas the original rune was much more to do with cattle, the idea of I suppose much more of life force, our ability to access that which we need to live, food, warmth, clothing, all of those things. This abundant life force is when we think about Feyu. So we're going to have Suna's chariot entering Feyu, and on the same day, yay, we're going to have a new moon in Feyu as well. So really strong new beginning energy. So we've moved out of Dargaz, we're moving through. So we want to be able to access and harness that Feyu energy. So the new moon is wonderful for setting intentions. Yes, we can use that at the full moon as well, but the new moon is like that youthful, starting out anew, new innovative projects, trying something, taking a little bit of a risk. All of these things come through that moment before you breathe in. Is the new moon energy, whereas with the full moon energy, it's more like you've taken that full breath and you've felt it, and you're like, and then you breathe out and it manifests out. So they do work in beautiful cycle and flow together. But the new moon, I always see the god Mani, god of the moon, as being he, for me, and this is personal, this is what I've received through personal gnosis, it's not in the Eddas or in the text that I know of. He ages through the course of the lunar cycle. So at the new moon, he's at his youngest, you know, sort of slightly this young heroic figure who is yet to prove themselves, and I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this. And by the time we get to the full moon, he's in his prime. You know, he has proven himself and he is reaping the rewards of what he's achieved. So you can think about that within the lunar energy. So we've got a lot of new rebirthing potential. So good time for new enterprises, good time for new projects, good time to be also really channeling your energy effectively, making sure that you're sending it where you want it to go. And well, actually, no, I'm going to do Frigg's Chariot and the Thala, and then we're going to come back to the piece that Frigg wanted to share. So on the 29th, Frigg's Chariot, which is Venus. Frigg's the queen of the Aesir, this goddess who assembles other goddesses around her. She's a collaborator par excellence. You know, she does not try and do everything herself. She's a great example of actually conserving your energy and saying, I can do more when I collaborate. You know, very Velu in that respect. Her chariot is moving into Athala. So I was saying about Athala being, you know, we passed Athala with Suna's chariot, and now Frigg is moving into Athala, and she is calling us into reverence and into recognizing that as we move forward, as we progress through our lives, as we bring new experiences, we are becoming like elders in our own tribes. That's always a process of becoming. And she's saying, you know, you are part of that great chain. So we have that Feu energy and that new energy, but she's reminding us that we need to channel that in a way that is filled with, you know, integrity and purpose and a real awareness of the legacy that we want to leave in the world. I'm going to come back to that in a minute for the sharing that she gave. And then we have on the 1st of June, Odin's chariot will move into Dargaz, and he's only going to be there from the 1st until the 9th of July, so it's a relatively short period of time, or it feels that way because he spent, you know, huge amount of time in Inguz. He's in Athala now, so Frigg is joining him in Athala, so you have those two energies uniting of Odin and Frigg, you know, enthroned, looking out across the lands and across the legacy that they see, you know, what they see and what they want to create in the worlds. And then he's going to move into Dargaz, and it's that sense of the words that came to me when I was feeling into this were, you know, clarity is born in darkness. And it is that reminder, particularly as we have been through, you know, a lot of cycles of you know, darkness, light, changing, rechanging, reshaping, reforming. What we knew isn't actually the case anymore. What we thought was happening in the world. You know, there continue to be things in the world that, you know, I find shocking and challenging and difficult and dark. You know, I'm still reeling a little bit from what's happening in the US at the moment, if I'm honest, and, you know, I know different people have different views on this, but, you know, for me that was a challenging moment. And what Odin does in this Athala Dargaz partnership is that he says, you know, we are part of the legacy. We do have a role to play. And, you know, we need to be able to stand in our own integrity and voice our own beliefs and our own thoughts. But that's always in partnership with Dargaz, the opening to the new, the opening to new possibility, and the promise that periods of darkness birth the light once more. You know, and that's almost part of the natural order. That it's not this, you know, this little graph of, you know, light, more light still, everything's getting better, it's getting better. That it's through the cycles of light and dark and of getting things wrong and then learning from that, and then we get things more right, you know, each time. He reminds us of that it is through moments of challenge that we understand ourselves and we understand what we believe in and what's important to us, you know, which we don't know otherwise, because it's all around us, and so we don't necessarily recognize it or value it in that way. So he wanted to bring that in. So you might want to think about that and say, yeah, in times of darkness, what is the light that I see that needs to be reborn? What is it that I believe? What can I see with more clarity than I ever have before through this time? What is the, you could argue there are not gifts in the moment, but if we want to move forward positively, and if we want to follow the hero's path, then part of our job is to find the gift in the moment, even if it's really, really difficult. Really, really difficult. We really don't want to do that. So the other piece that Frigg wanted to bring, and I'll just offer it to you in the moment, is she was talking about object. She was looking at Feyu and this force of Feyu and the way that it works with Athala, the rule of legacy. And she was reminding me of objects, like personal objects that our ancestors would have had, where, if you had a comb, you were really lucky, and you had it for life, and you looked after it. And you would often, you would know who made it for you. You might have something carved on it, sort of sacred words, or your name, or where you came from. And it was a sacred possession to you. It was treasured and precious. And in our lives today, very few of us, in the Western world, have a small enough number of possessions that we are able to do that. And even if we do, every time you go and buy a carton of juice, you're buying something that is like this amazing object that's been created from the materials of the earth and has had so much poured into it, and yet we can't see it as precious anymore because there's so much, is what she's talking about. And I think that she is saying that moving forwards through the coming generations, we need to make a shift in that and view the objects and the materials that pass us by, through our lives, as being sacred. I've talked about this a little bit in my blog last month, actually, when I was looking at plastic and what would happen if we treated plastic as an element. But Frigg wanted to bring that into consciousness again. And just to say, the more that we are able to interact with our environments as being part of the sacred, that the sacred isn't just in, the temple or the forest, or the walk that we love to go on, or the retreat that we go on, the more that we can relate to our immediate environment as something that's sacred, the easier that transition that the next generation will need to make to that type of partnership relationship with the earth, and to being okay with less needs to come through. So yes, Frigg wanted to share that, and Odin wanted to share, when you do not have clarity on what is happening around you and there is a lot of uncertainty, remembering that the light is born within the darkness. Take time to remember what you are already really clear on, because when we focus on the bits that, I'm not clear on this, and I'm not clear on this, and I'm not clear on this, it's actually very difficult to recognize when clarity comes along, because we're so focused on the lack of clarity. So he says, spend some time each day saying, what am I already clear on in life? I am clear in life that I no longer drink dairy milk in my tea. I drink almond milk in my tea because I like it now. That's a piece of clarity that I now have. I don't actually like cow milk in my tea anymore. It's very exciting. That was just a little example, but focus in on those things, because then you open yourselves to more clarity in terms of other things that are currently less clear. So make sure that you make that energetic shift each day into, what am I clear on? Because then you're telling your brain and you're telling the world around you, I'm giving attention to the stuff where there is clarity. So you can bring that stuff that's unclear over here into this clear zone over there. So a little experiment for you to try that Odin would like to share with you. Let me see then. So Erica, you have Wunyo for the week, which I actually really like, that thinking about this idea of objects, sacred objects, and looking for the clarity, looking for the light. There is a playfulness that we can get with Wunyo that is powerful as well. My theme that I've chosen for my week ahead is fierce play. And I can feel that with the Wunyo rune there, Erica, that it's reminding that even, you know, fierceness does not have to mean conflict or challenge or difficulty. It's like a commitment to, a fierce commitment to playfulness and joy, and holding on to those things and honouring those things, you know, in your gratitudes, in your bringing more of those into your week, you know, in a very mindful and conscious way, is what I'm feeling with the Wunyo rune. Really honouring its presence and looking for its presence, and particularly in the context that I've just discussed around clarity and the flow of Feiyu, the flow of objects, like material objects around us. Marie, you have Ehwaz, but it's Ehwaz inverted for you. To me, that speaks perhaps of a letting go. With Ehwaz, it's such a rune of, you know, partnership and emotion. It's often a very like emotional and intuitive bond, you know, and we have these bonds, and we honor them. And for me, I've been doing quite a lot of work actually in the groups that I've been working with. So with my awakening group and with my mastery groups who are finishing their process at the moment. Actually, Maria, I know obviously you're finishing your mastery, of doing cord cutting at the end of those ceremonies, our last ceremonies, so that people are ready for the next connections. And that's what Ehwaz is suggesting to me, is it's saying, no, sometimes those bonds that we've had, those relationships and those sacred bonds that can be with environment and with objects as well, when we recognize that, you know, we are continually reweaving, sometimes consciously letting go of those bonds, not because they were bad or wrong or anything like that, but just doing them in order to clear space for the new is important. So I'm literally thinking about this not just with groups and people, although it can be with groups and people, but also we were talking about objects, and it's that sense of somebody mentioned this to me actually last week. We were talking about, you know, when you have like a piece of jewellery that you really, really love or whatever, then you have to, and then you either give it up or you lose it, and it can feel really, no, it's not fair. And it's that sense of being able to look back over what did that object mean to me? Why was it important to me? And to honour that and to celebrate it. And then to say, you know, on my own terms, I release this out into the universe, knowing that it has more to give and that somebody else is going to benefit from it, and that I give them my blessing for them to do that and to have that relationship, is a much more powerful way of releasing stuff from our lives from our lives, than going, oh, I don't want to, and, you know, or, you know, all this stuff, I hate it, and pushing it all out. That we want to think very mindfully about the way in which we perform endings. And the Ehwaz rune is saying that endings are key aspects of relationships. Often it's in order for something new to be reborn, and it may be a relationship with the same person. It may simply be that the old ways of a relationship need to be honoured and released before something new can come in. So have a feel into that with your Ehwaz rune there, Marie. Patricia, good morning. You've got Mana, so we've got that sovereignty, very much honouring Frigg and Odin on their thrones at the moment. As of Wednesday in Athala for that brief time before Odin moves out into Dargaz. That real sense of stepping into, I don't even want to say responsibility, Patricia. It's a recognition of self as sovereign, and knowing that everybody else, you know, is also able to claim that sovereignty for themselves. Now, it's something that I've been feeling into a lot with the work that we've been doing in the Hearth Space on the wounded gods, and the story sessions that we've been doing, as well as the, you know, introductory videos. And we're just about to transition. We're in our last week with Hermod. At the moment, we're going to be moving to working with Mimir and wisdom. Mimir is a god who is beheaded, but his head continues to speak, so he's definitely wounded. But he is associated with the realm of wisdom. You know, that is his realm. And there is a sense of in which we go from being adventurers, exploring life, looking at, what does life have to offer, who am I, what am I, all things, into I know who I am, I know what I offer, I know that might change, but I am able to honour that in myself right now. So for Patricia, for you, I would suggest that it's saying, take some time to claim your sovereignty, what you stand for, what's important to you, what you offer to the world. Now, it can be quite a big piece, and it might be that this is almost a setting of intention around that now at the moment, to say, I'm ready to claim my crown. And we had that with, is it Tears Chariot or Thoughts Chariot? I've forgotten. That's terrible of me. At the weekend we had claim your crown. Cannot remember for the life of me which chariot it was. It's terrible, isn't it? Is also a theme, a very strong theme at the moment. So that's coming through for you there. Suzanne with her collection. So you have a Thala. Again, I think that thinking about what Frigg was saying about being a chain, part of the chain, the fact that we had Manaz and sovereignty with Patricia earlier, I'm really feeling that sense of when you're walking the pathway, feeling that it's a pathway that others have walked ahead of you, and recognizing that there's a shared experience with whoever has walked that pathway now ahead, as well as distinct differences. Energetically your signature is different to whoever is there. You might want to do like a woodland walk, or moving through not your home, somewhere outdoors, and literally doing that, like walking forward with your feet, and feeling that it is both a shared path and a unique path, and claiming that within you, and just seeing what comes. I think that a Thala might bring you something, if you were to do some like meditation with it or some work with it as well, that there's almost like wisdom there to open up when we recognise those who've been before us as being teachers and guides who are not us. They are not they can't just sort of say, oh, this is who you are, this is the way that you need to be, but they are there to offer support and guidance to you. And there's something there for me as well in the way in which we do that. So if we sort of sit still and we wait for the Athala wisdom to come to us, we are not an active participant in that, and so we receive the stories and the conditioning and the past stuff, not always the stuff that we need. When we stand still, when we're in movement, we're participating in that energy, and so we are part of the weaving process of the ancestors as well. I'm not saying that in the clearest way that I want to. It's about the difference between being like the victim of the ancestral story and a participant or creator within the ancestral story. And I think it's that movement that is like symbolizing that. Diane, you have Suelo. There is I'm thinking about Odin here, talking about the clarity in the darkness. And Suelo obviously is not dark, as it's different. It's that instinctive, like there is a healing and a soothing and a feeling for the light, and knowing that even when you are in the dark, the sun is still there. It's just it's behind the earth, and we can still tap into its energy. It might actually feel a little bit different because it's moving through the earth, so it's sort of this Suelo-y, Uruzi energy, but that we can draw to us in that time as well, trusting then that the light will return with Suelo, but knowing that you are connected to it anyway, even when you can't see it. Opening yourself to that Suelo energy. I think there's also something actually quite important about that mediation of the earth energy at this point, as I was feeling into it, that the Suelo energy can be a little bit mischievous. It can be quite bright. It's the sun after all. We can't gaze directly at it. That when we work with like the sun under earth and feel its energy coming that way, it can be gentler for us, and it mingles not just with the earth but also with the water. So I would maybe just use that as a visualization for yourself at the moment, Diane. Recognizing, yes, I want that sun energy, but it needs to be, deep and earthy and cleansing and watery as well. So I'm going to draw it up through the earth, at the night time, and remembering that the stars are the same. They're all, like suns that are further away too. So we can draw on their energy as well. Esther, you have manas. We've talked a little bit about that with sovereignty, that sense of stepping into sovereignty. And I do feel that is the message for you as well. It's just around feeling that sense of being enthroned. And almost that sense that sometimes the gods stand before us and ask us, what do you stand for? And ask us to recognize ourselves. Which is, I know in many traditions there is that aspect of like worship. I move away so that I can worship you as the deity. But in the northern tradition, they do tend to be asking us to recognize our own sovereignty as well. Is it the Prose Edda or the Poetic Edda? I'm not sure which Edda it is. The one of the opening sections talks about a traveller who goes and visits Odin, and this idea that the Odin that he meets basically says, I'm Odin, and I took on Odin's stuff, and I claim to be Odin, and now everyone believes that I am Odin. It's a much better story than that, but that's the basic. There's a little bit of a sort of fake it until you make it thing going on in there, as well as a much stronger recognition of the relationship between the human and the divine with the northern tradition than we get in other traditions. So they want us to stand in our sovereignty and in our power, and they, the gods created man, but the way that the breath was gifted feels as if it's still Odin, so the divine flows through us, and he expects us to see that within ourselves. And Claire, you have Uruz. Uruz is quite a nice counterbalance energy, I feel, to some of the other stuff that's, the other energies that are moving. After the half month of Feyu, we then have Uruz, and they work together beautifully as a pair because, we've got this very flowing energy of Feyu, and we've got the Athala energy, we've got the ancestors there and the land. And Uruz is a bit more like, I just am. There is a deep, instinctive knowing and a centeredness and a rootedness that comes with Uruz. So when we have a sense of being like overwhelmed, or I like to think about it more as being like flooded, is the way that I'm seeing it more, particularly in this community where a lot of people are highly sensitive or empathic. It's this sense of we can become flooded by stimuli, by everything that's going on around us, because we're very attuned to the environment. And Uruz comes along and says, come and lean on me, lean in, be supported until you recognize that you are also part of my power. So it strips away the complexity. It's a deeply simple as, it's not a simple rune, but there is a straightforwardness and a purity about its energy. So I think actually like wearing the Uruz rune, chanting the Uruz rune, allowing yourself to feel that deep, raw power of nature, like the mountains and the bones of the earth that always endure, and recognizing that is within you as well, is what's coming through for me there, Claire. Lisa, you've got Yera, the rune of the cycle of the year. So it's the only rune that has a space in between it, so it's got two sides and they sort of turn like this. So we've got Suma and Vectra. Always it's in the opposite end of the wheel of the year to Dargas. So we've got Dargas at the summer solstice, and then Yera is up at the winter solstice in the wheel of the year. So it's that all things change, all things turn, and through that changing and that turning, that is how manifestation occurs, is what comes through with Yera. I don't know why it's saying, honestly it's just saying you need a holiday, Lisa. I know that sounds ridiculous. I'm sorry, maybe you're already on holiday and I don't know what's happening, but it was literally just like it's almost a counterpoint of wherever you are now, when do you get to experience the opposite energy of that, and how do you deepen into that even further? So if the mind is busy, where do you get that deep silence? If you're doing a lot of activity, where do you get the stillness from? And vice versa. It's looking at making sure that through the course of the year you have these very distinct ways of being, because your being operates in between them. So it's sort of saying the breadth of experience that you're able to bring into your life, the broader that is, the more operating space you have in the middle. I quite like that as an idea of, when we think about life and it's like a progress, it's like, da, 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 I'm progressing, and then I'm doing this, and I'm getting this certificate, and then I'm doing this achievement, and then I'm getting this, salary increase or whatever it is, and actually seeing yourself in the Yera form as it's more like your boundaries are getting bigger and then you have more space to play in the middle is what's being suggested there. Every experience widens that out. So, run as fast as you can, rest as hard as you can, shout as loud as you can, whisper as soft as you can. It creates the space in the middle. That might be a bit cryptic, Lisa, but that is what I'm getting for you, alongside the you need a holiday. So I leave that with you as well. Candice, you've got Feyu, so really beautifully flowing into the energy of Wednesday coming through. I want to say it's your birth rune as well, isn't it? It's your sun rune as well. So that's just lovely. Such powerful, Feyu sun, Feyu new moon. I know, you're going to be enjoying the year ahead, that you're doing some work with me as well. So it's all coming in this really strong, powerful energy. The only thing that I would suggest is letting it earth down into the ground, so that you build in that trust with Feyu that it's going to continue to fill, to fill you. It's like it's becoming the channel for Feyu energy, opening yourself up to it and then releasing it back out again. The more that you release it, the more it fills you, essentially. So enjoy the pleasure of Feyu, that really feel into the sensuality as well, of enjoying the body. Very small things like taking time to put like hand cream on your hands. I know with a lot of the coaching clients that I do, and I'm working with them on increasing what I call their lover energy. It's one of the leadership forms that I teach, is the difference between having a shower in the morning where you act like you're a window cleaner, like, and doing it as, oh, look at my beautiful body. That is worthy of my attention, is very, very in keeping with Feyu, very in keeping with that Feyu energy, and that energy that Freya exudes as well. It's that lover energy that fills the creative centers, the energy centers right down in the pelvis, and provide us with so much more energy that then flows up and fuels everything else. That's what a lot of my coaching clients have lost sight of, is that all of that self-care and sensuality and being out in nature, which I know a lot of people in this community do very well. People lose that, and then they burn out because they're not replenishing their supplies of life force. So it's just honouring that life force and doing it in very sensual and playful ways. Suzanne says, really looking forward to Wednesday. Yeah, Feyu, we want that coming. Come on, Feyu. Come on in, we're ready. Chen says, Hagalaz. Ooh, so we've got... it's when I saw the Hagalaz rune, sometimes I see it like in front. It's like, oh, it's coming, and it's cracked, it's there. But for me, it feels like you're in Hagalaz at this point. And it's just standing there. It's going, hello, I am Hagalaz. And sometimes when I work with clients and they're having that sort of Hagalaz experience, we work on putting your feet apart, so that you've got that hips width feet. And almost, as Hagalaz comes and says, hello, I am Hagalaz, the storm. You say, hello, I am Hagalaz, the storm. And it's that matching of the Hagalaz energy and feeling its power in you, and recognizing that just as Hagalaz exists outside of us, also exists within us. And then you get that creative tension between the shaping events of what's happening outside and the shaping events of what's happening inside, and they create the structure that Hagalaz brings after it's done the breaking. It becomes the mother rune, the six-pointed star, and it creates the structure of the new, like a crystalline structure within there, and it's those two forces pushing together. So it's, I don't think you necessarily you don't have to like become the storm. You don't have to rage about being storm-like, although you could if you wanted to. Could be fun. But it is that sort of squaring up and holding your ground and saying, what is without is also within. That power is within me as well. I think will be really helpful for you there, Chen. Joe says you've got Perthro. So whereas we had Hagalaz with its structure and its breaking, Perthro is flowing. It is a change maker, very similar to Hagalaz in that sense, but it is the rising of the waters of weird coming up, washing away the old, also bringing up all of that stuff that we thought that we'd managed to suppress down, push it down, we can't see it. And Perthro's like, hello, here it is. Whereas Hagalaz is like, hello. Perthro's like, hello. And you're like, oh, that's nice. And then before you know it, you're caught in the current and you're like, whoa, where's this going? You don't know. And there is whereas with Hagalaz, it's almost like I'm squaring up with the Hagalaz energy. With Perthro, it is allowing the tide to carry you, allowing yourself to not know and being okay with, like, I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with not knowing. And looking for those opportunities, really bringing yourself into the present moment. Because what tends to happen with with uncertainty is that we project ourselves into the future and we're like, I need to know this and I need to know this and I need to know this. And the only way that you can manage this time is to be in your body and present, so that as the opportunities come, you see them and you can take them. Otherwise you're in there in the future and you can't see what's happening within the present. Bringing yourself back into the body as many times as you need to. There's any form of actually being able to put your feet into flowing water will help with that. You can also just do a foot bath, that will work equally as well. But there is a sense of, I'm in my body, I am open to what the present moment has. I'm not trying to control the future. Perthro doesn't work with that. Other runes, yes. Perthro, no. Into the body, into the present. Elizabeth, good morning. You do Ken, the fire. So in the Elder Futhark, that would be the Kinaz rune, the rune of enlightenment, of the torch. There's a creative aspect to Kinaz that I'm feeling quite strongly here. It's that sometimes we have Kinaz as the forge, or as the book that's being written, a product. Sometimes Kinaz is the body, it's the transformation of the body, and sometimes it's the natural process of creativity inside us. Feeling that bubbling energy from inside, a little bit like Kundalini rising. It's that feeling into the spine, recognizing the presence of Kinaz right down in the creative center within the pelvis. And I'm really just getting that sense of, like, energetically it would be useful to sit. And I'm sort of seeing sitting cross-legged, feeling that fire, the fire of Kinaz, and then just allowing the warmth to spread through the body. And by doing that, again, I've talked quite a lot about fuel, that we need fuel in order to move forward in our lives. Instead of thinking about, I need to make a project, and you think about it with the hands or the eyes, I'm looking for what it is that I need, or I'm going to get. I'm like my son at the moment. He will just sort of grab a bunch of pipe cleaners and he starts moving them, and he's like, "Aha! I've created a new Pokemon." That's what he's doing at the moment. This one is saying, actually giving, putting the fuel in place for your creativity is what's important at the moment, and knowing that will then lead to outward manifestation of the Kinaz energy. So it's almost, I'm feeling that drive to, I want to read more books, I want to do new stuff, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it's external. And it's actually saying what needs to be tended is the internal, keen as fire. Again, maybe because it's the Feyre energy is so strong, there is a sensual aspect to it. There is a, make essential oils and put them, like beautiful scents that you love. If you're going to do creative work, do it like paint on the body, and dancing work. It's like honouring the creative spirit within you is required at the moment. And yes, and not trying to manifest stuff outwards at this point, or even draw stuff in. It's just honouring that within you. It's very specific for you there, Elizabeth. I hope that was helpful for you. But yeah, I'm up for a bit of that. I quite like the idea of some essential oils and some paint and some dancing. Sounds good. Chen, almond milk's great. Yes, it is. Suzanne, that would be a great journal prompt. What clarity do I hold today? Yes. Odin was very specific on that one, and it is about what clarity do I have today, not what's uncertain for me. I don't know why I'm trying to repeat what I've already said. I should just say yes, Suzanne. Thank you. I appreciate that you like that. Erica, fierce commitment to joy and play sounds fantastic. Wunyo, yeah, wunyo to you, Erica. Marie, I'll have to revisit in the morning as I fell asleep. Bless you. Yeah, I know it's very late for you, and that is fair enough. Jen says thanks for the reading. Candice, that makes so much sense. Right now it's uncanny. Yeah. Joe says thank you, and Elizabeth says yes, spot on right now. Being in the transformation, absolutely, and creativity, fuel in place. Soft input from inside. That's lovely. What a beautiful phrase. Soft input for inside work. Wonderful. Well, it looks like that is everybody. I've enjoyed today as well. I feel that energy of Feyre is calling to us. So let's really embody it and enjoy it. I think we all deserve a little bit of Feyre energy right now. So many blessings for this week. Really look for that and open to that through Wednesday. And clarity and the power of the material, whether it's the body or the objects that we surround ourselves with, making that sacred is what I feel for the week ahead. So blessings to you all. It's been lovely to see everybody. I hope that I've got everybody for Middle Earth readings today.